Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Kemau to Cape Palmas, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai. We are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Friday Night Debate, we'll be debating the following topics. Number one, Liberia 880 million budget has passed in the midst of all the crisis, the impasse at the House of Representatives, the burning down of the building, all that. The budget passed. What's in it? Also, former Minister Samuel Tweah and others plead not guilty to economic sabotage charges. The Senate said 1.8 million US dollars is needed to renovate or fix the burned down timbers of the Capitol building. 1.8 million. And Councillor Gloria Musu Scott has been appointed to the board of NOCAL. Join us, let's debate. Let me welcome the unapologetic and unabashed edition, Mr. Jerome Gilman. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me on. I'm ready to rock and roll, as usual.
Mr. Gilman is also the host of On Point, which comes on every Sunday at 4 p.m. right here on Focus on Liberia. Let me welcome everyone political analyst, Mr. Mohammed Sharif, who is also a product of WAPLO Institute from Kilipo, Kanweken in River G. Welcome, sir.
Dennis, it's great to be here. And if you would permit me, sometimes I get people ask me, and some people don't know the pronunciation WAPLO Institute because it's not known. This is from where we came. This was an elementary school way back there in this very, very small town of Kilipo, where, in my classroom, we competed with the cows. At night, they will go into our classrooms, and next day we'll come and clean up. So it is from there that I come, and I'm here on L4L. So how, you can't make this up, right? So, I didn't go to these elites like some other individuals. And lastly, I had a great social studies teacher, Mr. Debler, Teacher Debler, who always called me his son and encouraged me a lot. And Teacher Debler was killed during the Civil War. He was killed because they alleged that he was a crown man, but he was a gribble. In either case, my good teacher was slaughtered, and
Our condolences.
All right, I gotta get back to you guys.
Yeah. The horror of the Liberian Civil War. Let me welcome Pastor S.T. Salib. He's the senior pastor of One Family Christian Center. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thank you, Dennis. It's been a while. I've been away, very busy. Schedule been tight, but I'm here and I'm looking towards a very great show. Got a great team here tonight. So wherever you are, pick up your radio, your computer, wherever you are, enjoying the show. And also remember, please share the show.
Thank you. Let me welcome Dr. George Williams, a social and political commentator and also an educator. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dennis, and thanks. Glad to be here with the cadre of very strong and enlightened Liberians with the hope of lending our voices to what's obtaining back home. It's the best we can do where we are, or at least the least we can do where we are.
Thank you. Let me welcome Michael Asubana Miguel Patmo. Mr. Patmo, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dennis. It's great to be here today. I'm excited to join the conversation with these great people.
Let me welcome our
glad to have you too.
Luminary, Mr. Anthony James Jensen. He's also the CEO of 2A, and he hosts a number of shows, including legal ones, right here on 2A Radio. Welcome, Anthony Jensen.
Thank you so much, Dennis, and thanks to my discussants, those who are going to be discussing with us. We are here to discuss the issues, so let's go straight into it and see what we can say regarding what you just enumerated as being the talking points. So I'm pleased to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you. I want to appreciate you, Anthony Jensen. Anthony Jensen, in these days where people do not like to support, he owns 2A Radio where he broadcasts. He does a lot of great things, but he always, find time to come here and talk, especially based on legal matters. So, Anthony Jensen, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining this effort.
You're welcome, my brother.
Let me welcome the new progressive guy, Dr. Clarence R. Pearson. Welcome, sir. You are muted, Doc.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Dennis, for having me. Sorry about that. I want to say hi to my fellow panelists and to our viewers and listeners out there. I want to say to my good friend Mohammed, man, my heart broke when you spoke, because we're all in that same shoe, and we hope that Liberia can get better and we can deal with our bitter past.
Thank you.
Very, very, very bitter. Our resident economic deputy told me a story about another person, a teacher, John Jarry, who left Grand Judy and went to Nimba for, I think they were mining gold and everything. But when John Jarry saw that there was no school in the place, he started a school. And when the war came, he was chased out of that place just because he's crying. And up to now, all his students, including Depu Zoo, they are still crying. For he said they used to have their classes in unfinished building. So when the person is ready to take their building and build, then they will move to another finished building. Ready for this one, they move to another. And this is not long. I mean, look at Depu, right? He's not an old man. So you're talking about in the late 70s.
Right.
They are moving from one unfinished building to another. And because John Jarrett, teacher Jarrett, saw the
early 80s.
Right, early 80s.
Yeah.
But here we are. We say the war. All right. Let me also welcome our friend from Canada, Mr. Abu Bakar Dukle. Mr. Dukle is also an Islamic scholar who went to school. We call that the Harvard of Islamic education. That's in Egypt. That's where he went to. So when he talked, listen to him. Welcome, Mr. Dukle.
Thank you very much, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be here. And hello to my fellow panelists.
And this is one reason you must listen to Focus on Liberia, because we don't joke. We have experts. So our first topic is the budget is passed. I mean, let me start with Michael. Michael, you do you follow the budget hearing process?
I did as much as I could. Yes, I did. As much as was put out there, we really wasn't a lot. Not as intricate as I thought it was going to be. But I did follow along as much as I could, yes.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about what you followed, what you saw.
Oh well. I mean, I saw so a lot of what I saw. My expectation was that lawmakers were going to be drilling various government officials on why they have certain things in the budget, why if they had it there the year before, what was the impact, and why was that amount submitted? Was that amount enough? But instead, all I heard really was people. I mean, I understand they're politicians, but trying to defend their lay positions. One lawmaker will say, "Oh, why this district get this one, and my own district cleaner didn't get this one?" And just very vague, very vague. And I really saw it as just political posturing. And they were not even talking about the real money. They were talking about $15,000 here, $30,000 there, and they were not really talking about like for example, every government agency is supposed to submit quarterly reports on their spending. We haven't seen those things, and nobody was asking about it. You're giving money, but you're not getting any report back. And nobody asks about those things, and nobody asks, if you're getting this lump sum of money, what about the itemized list of what is going to be used? None of those things were talked about. I just saw a lot of back and forth, political posturing, and people, oh, okay, now I hear what you say, okay, and then they laugh among themselves, and then they move on to another topic. That's a lot of what I saw.
Yeah, thank you. Pastor Salif, I know on Saturday we have our business and finance team that are going to drill down into the budget, but let's just on the surface of it, right? Do you see the budget addressing? I mean, we talk about the expenditure, we talk about recurring expenses, we talk about somebody said just the government alone has over half of the budget. So with the budget and the new, I mean, this was supposed to be the Buckeye budget. The last one was like, this is Tweah budget. Now this is Buckeye budget. Do you see any difference?
First and foremost, there's not much difference, and I'm disappointed because let me take my cue from Michael. Budget tells us certain things. Number one, it tells us where government priority is. Okay, where government focuses, what are those things they prioritize that they want to do? But you can't do much with a budget if you don't have a retrospect into the previous year. So you have to come to the fore. You got to bring, okay, what were the projects that we did do under the last budget? What failed? What succeeded? Why did this fail? Why did this succeed? What are the challenges? What do we need to do? Did this fail because we put in less money? Did this fail because it lacked the proper appraisals or evaluations, or maybe the expertise, the wrong people in the wrong? So we have to do all those analysis, do all the evaluations to know where to plow our money, because budget is all about giving the government strength and the opportunity for success. So if we got it wrong the last fiscal year, we want to correct that in the next fiscal year. So if we're not doing that, if agencies, if ministries are not giving report on how they spent in the last fiscal year and what they got right, what they got wrong, and every year we just sit down, so that means we're just putting budget together without any proper projection, without any proper analysis. So then we don't know where to prioritize. We don't know that, hey, education needs to be prioritized. We don't know that health needs to be prioritized. The JNB budget, all I see now is security. And the reason they prioritize security so much is not because Liberia is that vulnerable. It's because that is where they can spend money with no accountability. Because once they say security, oh, National Security Agency, oh, this other EPS, oh, this other SSS, oh, this whatever service, then you don't question those kind of money. So it's a loophole for corruption. It's a loophole for stealing. So they are not prioritizing the country. If you go on the street and you speak with the Liberian people, if you say, I want to really form a Liberian budget, you speak to the ordinary people, they will tell you exactly where their money should go. They will tell you exactly what are those hot button issues, what are those issues that should attract attention. But the government, JMB and his team, and it's not only them, even in the past, it's like budget has become a traditional thing that, oh, every year we're supposed to do it. So the importance of budget is completely lost. They don't even know why they do budget. They just do it now because, oh, it's something we have to do as a government. So it's not creating any form of priority. It's not creating any form of urgency. And that's why we keep failing. Because we put the money in the wrong places.
Thank you. Let's be as brief as we can, so go around. Mr. Sharif, I mean the budget process. It started with first of all, this should have been what, December. The president asked for even before that, he asked for some time because it was not ready, and then there was confusion. He asked for more time, and then the confusion went on when he submitted the budget, to the through the chief clerk to the self-styled majority bloc, and then later on we saw again the budget was with Fonati Kofa, and now it's passed, right? The budget is passed, with all this confusion. I don't know. Does it really seem clear and transparent to you? On me, please.
No, Dennis, it's not. It's very confusing to me, and it should be confusing to the Liberian people. The contradictions, the different things that's going on. This is a country, a president that just celebrated the MCC winning, the MCC Millennium Challenge, where the United States government is going to award Liberia, I believe, $500 million. So there are certain matrices in winning that MCC, that Millennium Challenge. The promotion, the preservation of democracy. Right now, our democracy is under assault. The demolition of our democracy, the piece by piece, annihilation of those things that we that should be strengthened under this administration now. And so the fact that the Senate was quick to come back means that is Yambli Conga Lawrence, is she afraid that she's going to be next? If I don't get this quick, maybe I'm next on the chopping board. So it's like everyone now is doing the bidding of the authoritarian ruler of Liberia, and so it looks like now we have an authoritarian leadership, a leadership that resemble the late Kamuzu Banda of Malawi, who was the life president of Malawi. No one could say anything. He was an old man, very old man, in his 90s, and he was still running Malawi.
Let me call you to a point. Joseph Boakai compared to Kamuzu Banda? Are you serious?
Dennis, don't make my UP friends come after me tonight. I'm not in a good position to throw any punches right now. But look, and if we're not careful, it's easy to get there, Dennis. It's easy to get to the Kamuzu Bandas of this world. It's easy to get to the Nikolai Ceausescu's of this world. It's easy to get there. All it takes is you win a few fights and no one says to you, Mr. President, let's go in a different direction. Mr. President, here is my opinion about this. Where are the advisors? The advisors themselves are fighting to keep their jobs, so therefore they don't advise the president. If I'm there, if I'm with this president, I will lose my job tomorrow morning because I'm going to walk into the president's office and say to him, Mr. President, you're behind the steering wheel, but this vehicle, you're gradually driving us into a ditch, and he will fire me the next day. So people like me cannot hold down a job in this kind of arrangement. But there are individuals who are fighting for their bread and butter. That's all that matters to them. And so whatever it takes for them to for their bread to be butter, that's what they're going to do. If that means silence, they're going to be silent. If that means, putting out false press releases, that's what they're going to do. If you're Gregory Coleman, if that means lying on the protesters to create this atmosphere that there are people out there to be blamed for this, that's what they're going to do. Lastly, Dennis, what I'm going to say here is that, last evening, some people was on this show, including yourself, CEO. You felt very sorry for the building. The building is destroyed, and you laid down some things. But CEO, I gotta disagree with you. Look, these buildings symbolize divisions. The executive mansion. Once upon a time, there was a dungeon in the executive mansion where people were held in captivity. We know the Charles Bayon story in the executive mansion was a dungeon. We know the Capitol building has not been used for its purposes. It's used now as a venue of division, of dictatorship. We know the Temple of Justice. One time I went to the Temple of Justice, and I ran there with another student. We were young students. We went in there, and we saw who? We saw the Liberian Unification Party leader Gabriel Poulet and Councillor Sifas Mabandi. These guys were, these guys were severely beating with the shirts off their back. They took the shirts off their backs and stuff like that with bare feet. These institutions have been used in the past, including the Liberian Frontier Force, the Liberian Police, have been used to suppress the Liberian people. And these institutions are still being used now to divide the Liberian people, to suppress protesters. So this is what's going on. That's the big picture perhaps we need to look at. More than anything else, more than the budget, I look at the preservation of our democracy. I'm very afraid right now about the preservation of our democracy.
Thank you. And you can make me scared, Mr. Cllr, but I'll hang in there. Mr. Dukley, the Liberian Senate unanimously concur with their counterparts from the majority bloc, of the House of Representatives to pass the national budget of 2025 amounting to 880 million. Remember, the Senate first said they were not working with them, and now this. Which is, you realize maybe, yeah, you're right. Kofa is history, so you are there, so we're going to work with you and we're going to work together. But does it look, I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but does it look rubber stamp to you? Whatever it comes from, passes?
Well, Dennis, you have to look at the whole thing from the beginning to this point. As hard as we have fight, as hard as we have tried to get this republic on a footing that we will all be proud of, instead, we've seen a government in Unity Party promoting lawlessness and creating an atmosphere of where we have been running away from. Instead, create an environment.
Give example of that lawlessness Unity Party government is creating. I don't want us to just make statement for the sake of it.
Yes, and I will tell you that the so-called majority bloc, they are not a group that is in legal standing, as far as I know, to create a situation where they would be the one running things in the Senate, in the House, as if to say they are a legitimate body. Who is Kuhn to claim that he's speaker? Who made him speaker? Who made him speaker? The rules of what is clearly spelled out in our Constitution is clear. You have to have 49 members of that house to say that we don't want him before Konati will be removed. They didn't do that, and yet they are masqueraded as if Kun is the legitimately appointed Speaker of the House of Representatives. Since when? So when I say they are creating chaos, lawlessness, that's one of the examples I can think of, and there are many other examples I can point to. So when you have this kind of an environment where people are being targeted as if, I mean, Dennis, we have tried our best through the assistance of our brothers in ECOWAS and the international community to foster peace, to foster democracy in our country, so that we live with each other in harmony. But what you are seeing now, and we're just talking about the budget, and I don't know if you heard this, they were projecting about, I said, $1.3 million to renovate whatever happened. Where is that money going to come from? Where is that money going to come from? Now, if we get that money, it's going to be on the backs of the poor Liberians. It's going to be on the back of the unfortunate, I mean, the Liberians who are looking up to our governments to provide the means for them. Yet, all we see is an environment that is and that is not conducive for what we are doing. I always say this on this platform: perception in politics is reality. Go in the street and ask the ordinary man how he or she feels about the Liberian economy. They're going to tell you Liberian economy doesn't exist, because from that perspective, they have not seen anything beneficial from the Liberian economy to them. And so, if you have a situation like what we have, it is unfortunate that Joseph Boakai, as experienced as he is, to actually be the one leading this illegality in our country. And you don't have to say it. It is rubber stamping. We remember this same Boakai. At one point in time, he presented this budget to the breakaway group. I mean, what is that? What is that in 2024? So when I talked about lawlessness, Dennis, there are many examples that I can point out to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me bring in the lawyer, Anthony James Jensen. Anthony Jensen, I'm hearing things like the rule of law, lawlessness, renegade group, Kun is not a legitimate speaker. You can talk to that piece first, the legality of Kun's speakership, and then you make your comments on the budget. Unmute, please. Unmute yourself, Anthony Jensen.
Still muted.
I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, those individuals are elected citizens that are serving as parliamentarian or legislators. So we have to respect them no matter whatever the situation is. We disagree. I personally do think that the current crisis should have been avoided. Fonati Kofa was elected as the speaker for the legislature, and until he's removed as per what the Constitution says, he's still the speaker. I heard about Kun was elected by a certain group. That is illegal. The Supreme Court spoke on those things. People have other ways of interpreting, but the Supreme Court, in my view, was very clear to say, look, they must return to status quo ante, meaning that all they did were null and void. And because of that, they needed to go back to where they were prior to.
That was before their final judgment, before their final opinion.
That was the ruling. That was the ruling. The ruling right. And the judgment, they are all decisions of the Honorable Supreme Court. Right. So you cannot separate any of them.
No, I mean, after that, they came out and say, hey, X, Y, Z, so go and act responsibly. That's the last.
That's what all of those things are making reference to. But the issue now is, I'm not too pleased with the way the executive even intervened in the matter of the legislature. I was talking about the last time I was on a discussion with some folks, talking about the separation of powers. is being ignored. The president of Liberia shouldn't have sided with any group at the legislature. Those are honorable men. Whether they were fighting in chambers or whatever they were doing, the president should have waited until they have their issue resolved. There can be some on-ground discussion relative to coordination. As head of government, the president had a right to call other the three branches of government, the heads, and say, look, we cannot go this way. The country is at stake. We need to do all that we can. But if he came publicly, like giving the budget to a breakaway faction, that was something that I feel shouldn't have been. He wasn't acting like a father of the land. And I felt strongly that that was wrong, and I don't know how they can correct that. The embarrassment is already there. The faction don't seem to be prepared to go under the gavel. Look, this is the case. Funati Kofa is a speaker. He was elected. The Supreme Court has spoken. So the majority bloc, if they knew or if they know that they have the 49 votes, they should not be afraid to go in the joint chambers or in their chambers, right? And then Funati himself should be prepared to preside and be willing, because in the final analysis, there will be a motion asking him to recuse himself, all right? So the majority and the Funati group, in the interest of Liberia, they all should have or should have an agreement to have a special session to resolve this issue.
So Anthony Jensen, the budget, it's a legal instrument, right? So the budget just passed. Is it legal?
That's what I'm coming to. If I'm late, I'm coming to the budget, right?
Okay.
So
I have two answers. I want you to hear that part.
I know I will come to the budget. So if they do that, at the end of the day, Funati Kofa will recuse himself. Funati, in my view, he's definitely going to leave the speakership. But you cannot demand or you cannot ask him to relinquish the position in a form of manner that is proceeded, that the majority bloc are proceeding with. Because the majority bloc, in my view, they are not proceeding rightly. They can compel Funati Kofa to come to session. And when they do that, I'm sure there will be a motion for him to recuse himself. We have had this situation before with George Tweah, and we had all of those situations before. So this is not the first of its kind. So I see no reason why these honorable men cannot get together and resolve this matter. If Funati will resign, Funati state of representative, he was elected by his people. Only thing is, he will be leaving the speakership. And after that, then they can go about electing a speaker. And when the speaker is, if they had a new speaker, then the president's budget. Now, the budget is the president's budget. They carved the national budget. So and submitted it to the national legislature. The president should have submitted the budget to the chief clerk of the House of Representatives, since indeed the legislature is in conflict. But to call any of those parties and give them the national budget, that was wrong.
Therefore, my question now is: so, what is this budget that's being passed? Legal, illegal, illegitimate? What is it?
The budget, as far as we're concerned, the conflict is there. It is not legal, but the interpretation of what is going on is left with the Supreme Court. You have civil society organizations in Liberia. You have even the media. You have permanent sons and daughters in the land. You have the religious community. If they always sit there and allow Liberia to be run the way it's going, it's up to them. But I think some groups should challenge them,
right,
and file a petition to the Honorable Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court has spoken. So if the Supreme Court says you'll go back and get it done rightly, and Funati is still the speaker, and you have the minority group or majority group, so to speak, they're making decision. Now the budget has a process.
Right.
The House should pass the budget.
I want to move to the next person. I just want to understand if that budget that is passed, if it is legal, or will you say is illegitimate?
I wouldn't think it's legal in a sense where the legislature itself is having crisis, and the only way we can have the budget to be debated. And that's something I wanted to emphasize. The budget is not just an instrument you're just going to take and say is a budget, because the expenditure aspect, like someone said, there must be annual report from those spending agencies.
If those things were not done, if the legislature did not ask for those spending report, and they just decided to say, okay, for the sake of passing budget, to pass a budget. Even the House and Senate, the senators themselves will have budget hearing where they call on experts to come and give them their advice before you concur with the House if they thought it otherwise.
Thank you. I don't think your colleague, Councillor Tweah and Anthony Freeman, will agree with you. Let me go to Dr. Williams.
Maybe they can call.
Yeah. So, Anthony Freeman, when you are listening, please call. And I don't think you agree with Anthony Jensen and Councillor Tweah. I know for fact. Dr. Williams.
Yes, sir. I think we're at a stage in the history of our country where we should not mince our words. We can't sit on the fence when our nation is in decay. Last Saturday, I had the fortunate of examining the situation, and my general indictment is that at every level of government, we lack leadership. On the part of the executive, even more on the part of the legislature and the judiciary. And I say that because what is obtaining right now, to hear that even a budget has been passed amidst everything that's happening in the country, suggests that we're not clear on what our roles and responsibilities are. Previous speakers spoke to the issue of the executive's intervention in the crisis, thereby exacerbating the crisis we have. The burning of the Capitol for whatever reason, whether it's perpetrated by man or technology, doesn't matter. But all of the situations we've had in the last 3 weeks that has brought our country into conflict is simply a lack of leadership. And what do I mean by leadership? Not necessarily having one person in charge, but there's been nothing in terms of the decisions we're making that's been strategic enough to move our country forward. Hasn't been strategic. And I made the point clear, I'm not a Fonati fan. I don't care about him. He shouldn't have even been speaker in the first place, but we made him speaker. There are laid out procedures for removing of the speaker. And until those provisions are met or the speaker resigns, we have to go by the law. Right. Now, on the other hand, we have the Supreme Court that has its role is not just to prescribe constitutional interpretation or the legal precepts. The Supreme Court has a responsibility to itself that if and when its pronouncements are misinterpreted, the Supreme Court itself, given its strategicness and the security nature of the fragile nature of our security, the country, to come back, not to be delayed. As we speak, there is a bill of information before the Supreme Court that has not even been recognized amidst everything that's happening. And so there is a general plot to ensure that Liberia goes down the drain by setting the wrong precedents. And no Liberian, no peace-loving Liberian should sit by and allow it to happen. Not so ever. And so in terms of the budget, I don't think the budget is a legitimate instrument to be utilized by the government. The government has recourse that in the event where the budget isn't passed within the time frame for the passage of the budget, the president can go ahead and use 1/12 of the budget. So there is not an urgency to get this budget passed. That the government here is not tied. So much so that you want to push the country down the drain just to make sure that Richard Cohn becomes speaker. Is Richard Cohn worth the stability of our country? Is a unity party speaker worth the stability of our country? We're not being strategic. And it's a shame. It is a shame.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let me ask the unabashed sedition as if I don't know what he's going to say. But Jerome.
I'm listening.
I don't have a question for you because I don't even know what to ask.
Well, I think the legal minds are here. Sometimes I want to throw in a towel that I want to go back to the former Speaker of the House, Clay, from Kentucky. During the beginning of the expedition to Liberia, he says, the slaves, the black folk do not belong here. They are incapable of self-governance. We are talking about almost 200 years, over 200 years ago. Today, when I call my lawyer, the former Senator Innes, he said the Supreme Court adjourned today for the holiday. They have left town. So Dr. Williams was talking about the Bill of Information before the Supreme Court. So here you are, the final arbiter of justice of the law in our country. Our country is on fire, literally. And someone tells you, I appeal to the court that the decision you made is being misinterpreted by everybody. Can you please throw light on it? And going on 2 weeks, we have not heard anything. So here you are, the Supreme Court does not have enforcement power. The executive agrees that whatever the Supreme Court said, we are not going to enforce it. The House of Representatives had disenfranchised over a third of the country. They are not dealing with the Fonantic Kofad group. They are about 30. Then they suspended 7, and they are about to expel another 4 to make it 11. So a third of the country, if they are paying taxes now, that taxation without representation. So few folks.
Mr. Gibbon, when you say taxation without representation, those people that they are suspended just from a job, they are still representatives.
Listen, how could you represent someone when you say you are suspended for 4 months without pay?
Right.
You can't go home. You can't do those things that we call legislative projects. Your constituents, you can't deal with them. You can't do anything. So, listen, these people did not come here in a vacuum. So the judiciary is not working. The Senate is not working. The lower house is not working. Then you are disenfranchised of 34 or 30 lawmakers. So what is this that we are going on? So those are who come here every day to make sense, to put pressure to do this. The folks on the ground, Joseph Walker made it clear. Let us sit on social media and talk. We won't listen to them. We do what we have to do.
When did Joseph Walker say that?
Yes, Joseph Walker said it. You can put out the clip. He said,
no, I don't have the clip.
Okay, I will find it and I'll play it. Someone says to Joseph Walker about the chatters on social media. He said, don't listen to them.
Thank you.
So sometimes, I don't know, Mr. Sharif, how can you convince me and somebody else to be optimistic? Thank you.
Dr. Pearson, this whole, this is not new, right? About the budget, the way it's passed, and whatever the president wants, he always gets. So what's the big deal here?
Dennis.
Just same old.
Yeah, Dennis.
For the past 10 years.
Yeah, Dennis, thank you. Our country, Liberia, is one of those places where there's total disregard for the rule of law, and they have data to prove that. One of the data to prove that is the data that we are currently running with on social media, the MCC Compact scorecard. One of those areas on the MCC Compact scorecards that we've filled in for over 20 years and never passed it is the rule of law. Another area that we feel consistently for over 19 years is government effectiveness. Think about that. It's a lot. And then I listened to one of our local radios and saw, in addition to the misinformation provided by the Minister of Justice, I listened to people trying to be political about the rule of law and justice in our country, and they said that the bit of information is a privilege, not a right. Someone even type it in here. Let me say, one of the reasons we get PhD then is because it's research based. And even if I'm not a student of law, I can go and research and find out what law is speaking to my common sense. Let me read you some information here. In legal practice, a bit of information is a formal application to petition submitted to a court, often to inform it about matters affecting execution of its judgment, to correct errors, and to seek clarity regarding its rulings. It is part of the broader right to access justice and due process guaranteed by the law and most constitutions. And there are three major parts to this. One, the right to due process. Two, the right to appeal or review. And three, the right to legal remedies. These are the three things that the law is there to satisfy. If I have a ruling from the Supreme Court that affects my interest as a citizen, and the Supreme Court ruled, and someone misinterpreted, and I go back to the Supreme Court and say, make clear your ruling, it is my right to get that clarity because I'm injured. And what is the injury now? The budget of the Republic of Liberia that they have in the hand right now is illegal because it was hijacked behind armed men who sat behind closed doors and discussed the fate and the future of a whole generation of people, which is wrong. And I want to make that very clear. That budget is illegal. Now, so we don't have a legal budget. I'm not going to discuss the budget because I don't even know what is in until it is published. But let's look at it. Let's look at quickly the numbers from the draft budget, which is the legal budget. The draft one that did not reach Speaker Kofa yet that we're still waiting for. In that budget, the UP Rest agenda highlight agriculture as the #1 priority. In that budget, they submitted 15 million for agriculture. In that budget, they submitted 114 million for education. In that budget, they submitted 85 million for health. In that budget, they submitted 23 million for energy. And these are the critical areas. If you put all that figure together, then it is $237 million. Measure that against what they put in there for grant. Grant, we know who we're going to. We don't even know who's going to get that grant. They put in there 130 million for grant that we don't even know where it's going to. Let's go to public sector investment. One of the areas that we pray our government to improve on. Public sector investment, 2024, they put 95 million there. This time around, they put 106 million there. It's even lesser than the grant that they're giving out. So nobody will know. We even know who the grant going to. They will say they're giving it to schools and things, or they're giving it to clinics and giving it to hospital. When you go check, it is their own schools, their private schools. It is their private clinics.
That's how Prince Johnson University ended up and Thomas Fala University.
Yeah, and again, at the same time, you got dilapidated schools in Bokonjide. You got dilapidated schools in Riverside. You got dilapidated schools in Harper that cannot even open because no correct roof. But they got universities.
Thank you. So talking about the budget, the Senate put in 1.8 million to renovate what got burned just yesterday or day before yesterday, right? So assuming that those guys then burn their own house, who pays for it? I mean, I don't know if you're wondering too how they came up with that figure. I mean, the fire not even go off. Mr. Padmo, you think how they came up with the, I mean, you're close to Yombly Kanga.
Basically, it was very simple. It was very simple. What they did was they checked themselves. They divided money in three. Okay?
Oh, stop it.
Like 1.8. 600,000. 600,000 will go to the House, 600,000 go to the Senate, 600,000 go to the building. Now look at, as it comes to the House, everybody divided money 50,000 each. I had to check it and I had to came out with that amount because there's no other logical reason behind.
So we want to issue disclaimer that no.
My disclaimer is there is no other logical reason behind 1.8. That's it. That's the only logic I can come to, that I can actually land on, that makes sense to me, that the money is equally divided. Because, like you said, the fire hadn't even ended. The fire service had not even gone in to inspect whether it was an accident or a crime before architects and engineers go in and then do the study of the building to find out whether the building is even structurally sound before start checking plank and rug. And they said 1.8. And then I know one of these said, I think Senator Snow, I came out and said, oh no, that money is only for feasibility study. And not even the feasibility. My money is being set aside for feasibility study. And that's when I realized that this was going to be the golden goose that they were going to ride on. They will continue pushing audit. And this right here, this is what they are going to ride on. Because we saw it with the executive mansion for almost 10 years?
10 years. That was a cash cow.
Yes. This is a new cash cow. They will continue putting money in the budget for feasibility study, then for grant writing, and then for a second feasibility study against the new grant writing, and then for another set of experts to come in to inspect what the first people inspected. You know, and this way, that way, you see at 1.8. No man, when I saw the 1.8, I said at least at 1.8 because I really expected it was going to be more than that. I really expected it was going to be more than that.
That's the beginning.
At 1.8. So at that point, I didn't think I said at least at 1.8. But the sad part here, Dennis, is that the university library is closed. When you call government officials, you call your senators to say, my man, no money. Where your phone 1.8 from? In a matter of 2 weeks. And the university library is closed. That's the question. Nothing has been reducing the budget. We all know a country, if you take from the left, you touch it to the right, we'll see movement. There was no movement. This was invisible money that just appeared. So that means money was accessible. They could find it if they really wanted to. They didn't want to. University stayed closed. No plan. But they already have a plan for 1.8 for feasibility study. That's what we are.
Mr. Dukley, just assume that you didn't hear anything that Mr. Padmore said. What do you think is going on with this? Even let's say if we have money to rebuild, where should that money come from?
Well,
should we rob Peter to pay Paul here?
Well, eventually it's going to end up being one of those. Simply
because
because
it's like the pro tem budget is little over $1 million. Speaker budget little over. If you even take half, and take half from each lawmaker.
Yeah, and Dennis, I think Mr. Padmore is right on.
I said, don't listen to him.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
the men are following instruction.
Right.
You know,
I said, you didn't hear anything from Mr. Padmore. You started dividing the money.
Yeah, the way our budget functions, and like everybody else, or like anywhere in the world, budgets are projections, and there are a lot of mechanisms that must go into that projection before the projections are realized. Now, because our objectives are not the same, and the new money that is now going to be allocated for this renovation, you can just see right now how much people are positioning themselves to pocket by coming up with saying, even before the fire was off, that this is just for feasibility studies. And now, why would you even come up with feasibility study when you haven't even assessed the damage itself as to what the feasibility will cover?
That's the assessment. Assessment.
Yeah, but how could you even do an assessment when the fire is not completely out? Did you guys see the fire truck that was there that Wednesday morning? And I mean the pettiness of what is happening right now, what is obtaining in our country right now. So Dennis, this 1.8, the allotment that is in the budget, there are some that are not really properly explained, or you can't really pinpoint what that allocation is for. So I wouldn't be surprised where they will find this money, because the various priority that they created in that budget, I felt that 75% of the priority were misplaced in terms of the funding that was allocated for them. So eventually they are going to find money, because they might want to resort to our bilateral partners or even our multilateral partners to help them rebuild or renovate whatever they need to do. But the essence of it is that this is going to be one area where they are going to focus on, simply because of what they can get out of it for themselves. And that is the tragedy. That is the sad part, that is wrong with our country, and that is wrong with our legislators. So
Like,
we've seen it before. This is not the first time. Like you rightly said, the example of the executive mansion. We know they were making budgetary allocation for the executive mansion. Nothing was being done. So this is not going to be any different, except that the amount that we are going to see is probably going to be something more than what we saw with the executive mansion. So I wouldn't be surprised when there are people who are going to be out there asking the international community to help us renovate our Capitol building that we burned ourselves. So this is how we have learned to do our thing. This is how we have functioned since the cessation of hostility in our country. We have not really, I mean, for the age of our nation, 170 some more years, and we are still functioning as if we came into being yesterday.
thank you.
It reminds me of South Sudan. I mean, since when? But you know, we need to look at our history, where we have come from, and how we've done things. So Dennis, don't be surprised when there's going to be 1.8 million dollars, or even more than that, spent to renovate that building. This is
Oh,
a
of course,
building that was
of course, it will be.
that
Like William is. I mean, shoot first and ask question later. It's like, let's get the because we don't even know how deep that fire went, under, right, and whether it caused any, gas, anything that
exactly.
can really kill people, right? But so we say, okay, let's find, anyway. They need that money to assess, to see what's wrong. I mean, tell me something about this 1.8 billion, and what, I mean, million, and where you think it's coming from.
Dennis, the amount is just preposterous. I think Michael hit the hammer on the head, the nail on the head. It beats my imagination how Senator Moy could have imagined that for the level of damage in the building that at least I saw, the cracks on the wall, the structural integrity of that entire building has come into question. That 1.8 million will be even allocated for an assessment, according to Senator Snow. I think even just coming out with a figure barely a day after the incident was so premature and elementary,
Yeah.
and a disservice to the people they serve. Um, it's going to take a lot. I hear Councillor Kofa calling on or projecting that the international partners should do it. I think if Liberians are respect themselves enough, we should muster the courage to ensure that every cent that's spent in that building is monies that is locally generated. And by locally generated, I mean looking at the legislative budget and slashing it where it needs to. Legislatures do not need to ride for the $5,000 car every 3 years. That stuff should be cut in half GMCs and Chevys around here will cost you not more than $30,000 for a brand new Chevy. They do not need an Explorer or an Escalade to work and serve in the positions that they have. So that monies can be raised locally. I do not believe any international partner should commit a dime to the renovation of that building. I think we've been careless, we've been reckless in how we expend public monies, and to look to foreign partners. To look to foreign partners is like being an irresponsible father. You're not paying your children school fees, your kids barely eat, but yeah, you trying to wear the best designer shoes and clothing. That's just being irresponsible. And so I don't know how they came up with that figure. I think it's elementary. I think I think many of them need to be voted out, you know? Yeah,
Mr.
it's a
Sherry,
recipe for them to be voted out.
Mr. Sherry, what do you think should be done to this? Yesterday you said it should burn, right? So what's the future of the legislature if the building is not there, if it is burned? Where to go?
Yeah, so I'll go back on that statement again. And I will reiterate, I don't have any affinity to that building. I don't have any affinity to our institutions that have suppressed our people for so long. The executive mansion, instead of the executive mansion being used as a venue to host our president and as a venue to bring our people together, what was in the executive mansion before? A dungeon, where people were being tortured. That was your executive mansion. The Capitol building. What is in the Capitol building? Individuals who made bad laws for Liberia in 1986. Before that, there were issues. Now, there are more issues, more divisions coming out of that building than any other place in Liberia. So why do we care about these buildings? The Temple of Justice. The Temple of Justice has been used as a venue to perpetuate injustice across the land. So why do we care about these institutions?
So what do we do then?
The Liberian National Police, let me just land that thought. The Liberian National Police has now been used as an institution to crack down on peaceful protesters. The Liberian military, we know historically, the frontier force as it was used as a tax collecting institution to go into the interior of Liberia and arrest ordinary people and take their taxes, take their money, take their properties, their goat and sheep, or livestock, I should say now, So these are the same institutions now that are conducting business as usual. So why should I care about these institutions if the leadership is not strengthening these institutions, making sure that these institutions move away from suppression? These institutions must be institutions truly of unity, as the president said in his speech. But that was contradictory, Mr. President, because now you have used one of the institutions to divide people. People are divided. Individuals like myself, independents, are fleeing away from the president on this particular issue. I am an independent. Glendy and others, independent voices across Liberia are fleeing the president on this issue. So, Dennis, that institution, when I said that place can burn,
right?
That's what I mean. Why should I care about a building? I should care about the democracy itself, the preservation of that democracy. But what you're seeing now,
but you are separating the dance from the dancer, right? Because we talk about institutional building. we talk about institution. If you don't care for the military, let it burn. If they because it's the symbol of all the injustices. The capital, the temple of justice is the temple of injustice. So what? Our friend, our governor consultant, Admiral Sally, always talk about institutions. That
Dennis,
nations rise or fail because of the kind of institutions they have.
Dennis,
It's like you
Dennis,
don't care for these institutions anymore, Comrade Sharif.
Dennis, you were in Monrovia. So was I. When the war came, these police people, they took off their uniforms and fled.
So what do we do?
The army, these army people that brutalized us, they took off their uniforms and fled. Dennis, you need a professional police force that's going to defend the Liberian democracy. You need an army that defends Liberian democracy, that gives the police the Ministry of Justice. You need a Ministry of Justice that defends Liberian democracy, that say to protesters, you can protest, it's your right. Because the suppression get us here where we were.
Dennis, can I say something?
Yeah, I want to bring in a lawyer. I want to bring in a lawyer. The lawyer is going to take issue with you.
Yeah, because I strongly disagree with Mohammed. Every government or country, you need infrastructure. While it is true we disagree with a lot of things that's going on in Liberia, but you need a police headquarters, you need fire service, you need a house for the legislature, you need an executive mansion, you need all of the infrastructure must be in place. That's how you have a government.
Attorney Jensen.
But this is what I want to say. Let me go to my point. Maybe Jenny will give you the opportunity to further expound on what you were saying.
Sure.
This is my point when it comes to the money that is being projected to cover the renovation. I think in the first place, the legislature is doing the work of the executive. The building that is used by legislators, that building is a property belonging to the government of Liberia. So if there was fire, the first thing is we expected that there would be a focus on securing the scene to determine whether this arson was carried out by an individual, group of individuals, or whether it was done by some of the legislators themselves, or what happened. Liberians are concerned to understand what has happened, to see such a unique building, to which many are wondering whether the country is backsliding to the dark days. So it is important that the house or both houses could set up a committee, but that is the sole responsibility of the executive branch of government to maintain and manage government properties. If there was fire, the executive branch of government is supposed to ensure to get the full understanding as to what has happened. When it comes to projecting what is the cost for renovation, that also is the prerogative of the executive branch of government to determine, okay, this place has been burned. We are finding out why if John Brown, who is a millionaire, went in that place and burned that building, we're going to take responsibility. If someone committed an arson, while there will be trial to find that person guilty or so, there must be responsibility, there must be a civil action. But in the face of what we are discussing, legislators setting money aside, yeah, they can project. They say, okay, we can spend X amount of dollars for the renovation. But I think that the executive branch of government should be the one projecting the amount to say, well, this building has been burned. We have done all our investigation. We found out that, okay, there was electrical problem that caused the building to burn, or it was a legislator that was not too happy that caught the fire, the building on fire, or it was a private citizen that went over that caused the fire. So when Liberians get to understand that, then you talk about projecting how much the money will cost. But if the executive is not doing it, but rather legislators themselves, that is also an issue as to who is responsible to fix the building. Is it the legislators or is it the executive branch of government? So these are all part of the conflict that we are now faced with. How is it going to be resolved? It's going to be difficult because Brocker himself, his hand is now in the cookies jar. When I say cookies jar, in the sense where there was conflict. And the conflict now is talking about budget hearing, money involved. All of these things are just part of the conflict that's now going in the legislature. At the end of the day, the appropriation within the national budget is still going about facing the building. Is it for schools? Is it for hospitals? What is it for? Those lawmakers, what are their arguments in the national budget? And now, quote unquote, the capital building itself. So there's so much confusion that when we sit and discuss it, they are the representatives and senators at this time. So all that is needed, Liberians will have to challenge them. If you call on your representative or senator, they're not agreeing to you. A group of citizens can decide to say, well, this is not the way things should happen. Quote unquote. Even though somebody say, well, the court going for recess and all of this, so yeah, the court go for recess, so we'll come back. Before that land, there's somebody talking about better information. The better information, look, it is in the wisdom of the Supreme Court to say, look, our opinion is out there. You have your legal advisors, you have whoever is supposed to, nobody, even in America here, to call on the Supreme Court to come and say what their ruling is. A court will be very reluctant to do that. A court will be very reluctant to say, well, okay, the thing you say, okay, we don't understand it, come back, come tell us what it means. A very good Supreme Court, even the Supreme Court of the United States, there are not every cases that go to the Supreme Court that will come out with decisions. Some of the possible thing on fire.
Right.
They say you have the ruling. We have said what we needed to say. You either respect it or you do what you want to do. Yeah. And I think that's the approach the Supreme Court is taking.
Yeah,
so
but a point of information though. Don't the Supreme Court will say we decline to accept?
Cancel again.
Wouldn't the Supreme Court say we decline to accept? They will just leave it hanging?
No, the Supreme Court has a right to hear the case. They have a right to. They're not going to argue with you. They're not going to tell you.
No, we're not talking about arguing. They either accept or don't accept. They don't just.
No, they can accept. I mean, every case that go over there is filed. The clerk takes.
That's correct. That's
right. Or the clerk taking minute of every record. It goes to the chief justice.
That's
Chief Justice can decide to carry it to the justice in chamber. So they all have discussed this thing. You must say they talk about. They have discussed it.
Dennis, if I finish,
that's what they're thinking about.
Mr. Mohammed, we got to move your top finish.
But let me just finish this part. Okay, so I was, I had to concede to that attorney. So there are buildings, right? There are a lot of buildings, empty buildings in Liberia, as well as buildings that are occupied. Where was Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for the most part of her presidency?
In the foreign
affairs, right? Okay, why can't if something happened to the mansion today, why can't the executive move it? You have the E.J. Roy building, okay, that's unoccupied. You have, you have Hotel Africa right there. Why couldn't these guys move there? So y'all just concerned about building because these are nice
you are saying like you don't care, right?
Mr. Sherry, they just moved to RLJ Hotel.
Thank you. And these guys just care about buildings, nice buildings, right?
We got your point. We got your point. Let me go to Pastor Salif so we can conclude on this on the 1.8 million. I don't know. I mean, I want to see the breakdown. Pastor Salif.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I don't even know where to put it. When this kind of incident happened, the first thing should be investigation assessment before renovation. Because right now we don't even know, okay, where they just threw that out there out of thin air, the 1.8 million. In fact, it's just like a child's play. Two different senators saying two different things. So that means that they not have meeting to come up with a talking point to say, hey, this is what we want to do. One comes say 1.8 million for renovation. One say, oh no, the 1.8 million is just for assessment. That makes it very childish and very foolish. Okay, tell us if you say 1.8 million. I can ask 1.8 million. Where are the professionals that are going to do the assessment on the building? Where are they coming from? That necessitated 1.8 million. Right now, we need some forensic investigation, fire expert that can tell us exactly. I have followed those guys. I see how they do their investigation. They will tell you exactly, given the direction of the fire. They even go from wood to tell you, because the way the wood was burning, it means the fire came from this place. It means there are so many forensic investigation we got to do. We have to do structural analysis. We got to know, apart from what caused the fire, what position did the damage leave the building in. There's so many investigation that we got to do. That's the first step: investigation, then assessment, then to renovation. But how do they just throw out 1.8 million out of thin air? Where are these experts coming from? Who are the experts they brought to even assess, to give them that recommendation that, hey, we need 1.8 million? Let's assume the 1.8 million is for only analysis. Who are the people conducting the analysis? Where are they coming from? Is it their airfare and the hotels that are causing that? Is it honorarium, or did they have a contract with government? Yes, we will come. Our company, we are a fire forensic expert. We are charging you this amount to do. Where did they get that from? Somebody just slept, woke up and said 1.8 million. They just throw things out there, and it makes them all the time to look childish and to look foolish. We got to get serious. Let's do proper analysis on the building, and that will determine how we do the repair. In the meantime, they can be meeting other places, but this is what I will conclude on. I am so surprised when it comes to stealing money. The House, the legislature, they go straight on Operation Warp Speed. When it comes to doing good things for the country, it's like they don't know what to do. And somebody trying to tell me, oh, JB, I've been listening to different chat. The man is professional. He can do X, Y, Z. Yes. When it was time to suspend that deputy minister, fire him because he flagged the bogus scholarship fund that they finally came up and they knew it was a lie. They fired him straight from government when he raised the red flag on it. But when it comes to all the other cross stealing, then suddenly Joseph Boakai, he's so careful when it comes to rolling back all the tenure position laws that were established when he was vice president. He doesn't even take second thoughts. He just does it. But when it comes to doing the right thing, suddenly then he doesn't know what to do. The man is inept. I have said it over and over. Joseph Boakai is a fraud on Liberia. There was no reason the country had to go the way of Joseph Boakai. They would have tried Tier 1 Gonglo. They would have tried Cummins. They would have tried any other person. He has no experience. He has experience in nothing. So the 1.8 million that they threw out there is frivolous, is foolishness. They should go back to the drawing board, tell us how that 1.8 million came about. They can't just throw numbers out there. They don't know what they're doing, because corruption has got so much. It's like an albatross around their neck, so they don't even know what to do. The only thing those guys smell in that house is money. And that's why they just throw away anything around. I agree 100% with Michael Patmo. They need to get their acts together.
100%. 100%.
Dr. Pearson, I want you to conclude on this topic for 1 minute. What should happen to the Capitol building? I mean, that symbol has been burned down. What do we do?
Dennis, within my 1 minute, let me first of all strongly disagree with the councillor. The Supreme Court can decline, but the Supreme Court cannot just abandon your bit of information to the Supreme Court.
Abandon. That word is not a legal term.
No. But I want what he's suggesting.
You're a lawyer now?
Why you think they call me well-rounded?
He suggested that the Supreme Court,
the word is not abandoned.
What would it be? What a legal term would be?
What legal term, Dennis?
They don't talk to you. They don't say anything.
No.
They keep speech from you. They keep speech from you.
Let me use my 1 minute. Let me use my 1 minute.
It's not abandonment. They can say we can talk about this thing next year, right?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But the councillor insinuated that the Supreme Court may not just neglect to even pay attention to that bit of information. That's what
I said, and let me repeat myself, because
repeat yourself. Let's be clear for the audience. That's all.
Yeah, let me say it to you again. The Supreme Court receives all cases that is far before it, but not all cases that go before the Supreme Court is heard.
I heard, yeah.
Building information could be one of those.
Yeah.
And my argument to you here is, my argument here to you is that the Supreme Court has taken two major decisions. one of the parties is asking for a bit of information, want clarity. So, in my opinion, my little sense is that, look, you have had, this is a major case here.
Right.
Better information, just piece of it and say, okay, this is a mean case here. The Supreme Court has told you what to do. You all go back and do it right. Status quo ante, go back and do it right.
Yeah.
Somebody is saying, we don't understand this, you must still come and tell us why it is. You said when you told your child, go and watch the dishes.
The interjection, more the
Your child
interjection.
comes back to you, say, Papa, what you mean to say go and watch the dishes? You will
Can-
get involved.
This is where I disagree with you, right? Now, we are not saying that the petitioner or the person who is praying, the court is saying that I don't understand the ruling. That's not what they're saying. They're saying that your ruling has been, boldly misinterpreted.
So
And
what I
they
got to
are-
do with that? If you don't understand my reading,
You know what?
Listen, Dennis, and
No.
they are acting on the misinformation that and because they have the power to effect it by force. The Supreme Court has to. No,
The
we as-
Supreme Court is not going to go back to tell you, say, this is
All
what we
right.
said.
Yeah, well,
I'm
1
not saying
minute
the Supreme
minute. I
Court
want us to
has
go to
tell
our
you
next
that
topic.
what they said, but I'm telling you,
Yeah,
the Supreme Court can tell you that
Dr.
you are
Pearson.
acting outside of my opinion. That's what I'm
Dr.
saying.
Pearson, you're 1
The
minute
Supreme
over.
Court is not going to tell you, say,
No. They interject that.
Yeah, but you keep arguing about the Supreme Court ruling.
Let me
They,
take 30
they
seconds.
don't have to answer you.
Yeah,
They
the
have
30
explained it.
seconds.
You come back and say, tell me what you explain.
Yeah, 30
Somebody is,
seconds.
hold on. Somebody is going ahead to misinterpret what you said. So come back and say it again.
No,
I
Dennis,
will
that's not
not even
what
talk
is
to you.
before the
That's
court. That is
it.
not what
I mean,
before the
just
court.
Thomas to tell you that. The
Yeah.
court
Dennis,
have
that's not
read
what
that. Let me tell you something.
No, don't take my time again.
Clarence,
Dennis, that's not what the bit of information is requesting.
Clarence,
The bit of information is saying that they are acting outside of the court's interpretation, the court's opinion. It's a two
So
different.
that's not bill of
Clarence,
information. If
Clarence,
somebody is acting
the
outside the
issue is
interpretation,
you and
it's not bill of
myself,
information.
I know the Supreme Court has
And you
read.
want to support Joseph Burkhardt so you can destroy our country. You go ahead.
No,
You're justify it wrong.
That statement is very unfortunate.
Yeah,
You know,
so
we want people
not
to
good.
we want people to analyze these things, but you know, if
No, but you're not
these
giving me a
individuals-
chance. No, you hijacking me along the way. I'm telling you, the bill of information is not to say come and read
Mr. John.
what you said. That's not the point.
Mr.
The
J-
point is
what
that
is the bill? What is the bill of information?
Dr. Pearson,
Yeah.
one second here. From Councillor, what his name here? Councillor George here. I posed the question to him whether the Supreme Court takes every case. He said no, but if they done, the Supreme Court informed the public
Exactly.
when it denies a case.
And when?
Also
What's
known
the
as
time frame?
listen, also known as, I think the lawyer have been pronounced the word differently. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's CERTRORARI. Is that Sabotage or how you pronounce that word?
Yeah, Sabotage.
When they say the Supreme Court may receive about 20,000 cases, okay?
Right.
It denies very few it takes, but it will tell you that your case has not been, your case have been denied.
And what time? How long
Oh
they
my
have
God.
to
No,
tell you?
There's no need. We're going to be arguing here, right?
It
And I
didn't
have
say.
How long they have to tell you that?
It didn't say.
Yeah,
But
the
exactly.
Supreme
But
Court
the-
is
the-
not.
the fact here
Supreme Court will
is,
tell them.
they said the importance of the case is they're going to set up precedents.
Exactly, Dennis. We are talking about something that affects the national interest. I got my representative who is not allowed behind the door to discuss the budget. My district will be affected by that budget of the past. You got
The Supreme Court already ruled.
affected by that budget. Then you telling me say the Supreme Court will put a blind eye to
No, it's not blind. Dr. Pearson. Dr. Pearson, the Supreme Court already ruled. Let's say the Supreme Court ruled and say,
No. That's not
hold
what
on now. Hold on. Let's say the Supreme Court ruled and said that Dr. Pearson should go to jail. And then the executive have to implement to enforce that. And then they go to say, well, the Supreme Court said that Dr. Pearson should go to the RJ Hotel. Then you go back to the Supreme Court and say, oh, can I explain? Because the people are misinterpreting your ruling. And then Supreme Court will sit down there and say what?
Come on now.
That's not what we're discussing, Dennis.
All
No, I
right.
think
Say
that
I'm
Clarence,
supposed to go to
Clarence,
jail. And then
Clarence.
Dennis come and say, no, I'm supposed to get a man $500. That's two
Yeah.
different things.
No, Cllr,
Exactly.
I think you're missing the mark because this is the point. if any of those representatives decided to go against the ruling of the Supreme Court,
They have
the
done it
better
already.
information, listen now, because I think that's where you're messing it up. The better information we are saying is almost like, okay, the majority bloc want to go ahead with their plans. You want us to, the better information is going to say, well, you have said that we must go to status quo ante, but the other people saying they will still go ahead and do whatever they want to do. Then you get up and say, the speaker get up and say, look, what you have said, the people are misinterpreting, they say they're going to do what the people want to do.
Not the people.
Not the people. The justice minister.
The justice minister, the Attorney General of the country.
Listen, the Attorney General, we have heard about that ever since, right? He interpreting for his boss.
All right.
The Attorney General has a right to say what the law says.
I agree, but
all lawyers who are going to go to law school is just to learn how to say what the law says.
No, not what the law says, but what he thinks. He said what he thought.
Okay.
He didn't say what the law said. He said, in my opinion. He said, in my opinion.
We're going to move ahead, gentlemen. We're going to move ahead to our next topic. Hold on, gentlemen. We're going to move to the last topic of the night. Gloria Mususka
cannot supersede the Supreme Court decision.
Hold on. Well, let's move ahead. Please join us on Sunday for the Justice Forum so we can discuss this bill of information. We'll have all the lawyers and Dr. Pearson, you can come. Let's talk about it. Let's move to Gloria Mususka. Councillor Scott has been appointed to the NOCAL board. And people have, look at this appointment. I mean, we know the history that she was sentenced, she went to jail, and later on the Supreme Court overturned the ruling, and now she's free. Praise God. Now she's being appointed, and people are looking at it differently. Dr. Pierce, what's your reaction?
Did you say praise God?
Did you say praise God? Why are you praising God?
I can praise God, my Lord and my Savior. For by grace I've been saved through faith.
Dr. Pearson, you have been God. Please save
Dr. Pearson,
save that.
What's your reaction to the appointment of Councillor Scott?
Where I'm sitting right now, when I think about the 14 years civil war that we went through because of the same reason we are sitting having conversation here again. People who feel that there should be no regard for the rule of law. Anybody can say what they want to say. Anybody can do what they want to do. The legal system can break down, and we all say, oh, that's how it's supposed to be, and no precedents to clarify the justification we are giving. Let me say this about the justice, the former justice. Listen, if somebody is accused to court, found guilty, appeal, and then the appeal is in their favor, everything about what they went through, is quashed. They are not guilty, so she can get a job. But this is my catch here, right? There's my catch. This woman went to the Supreme Court, appeal, went to the court, the criminal court, got convicted. She's in jail. While she was in the criminal court, the very worker went and campaigned for her release and said she was innocent. Right? He becomes president. Under his watch, she becomes free by the Supreme Court that is today showing a blind eye to the gross disrespect for the Constitution, and then we sit there and think that these things are normal and natural. They are not normal, they are not natural. At the same time, she's coming out of jail, President Barker has given her a position as acting board chair. To me, it's just a test of the Liberian people conscience to see how we take that board chair position. And if we're not careful, Dennis, she's headed for a higher position than board chair. Trust me.
Yeah. I don't understand, because you lay a very good premise. You say,
oh no, you're not understanding the political era. You're not understanding the political era. There's a legal and political era in
I understand politics.
Yeah, right? So like the political era.
Right. You say whatever she did, whatever she was accused of, everything has been erased because it was overturned. So it's like it never happened. So she's qualified to be appointed to any position.
Yeah. Fairly long. Mm-hmm. But right. the politics,
Yeah. So now she's been the ruling is overturned by the Supreme Court, and you blame Boakai for that? Is Boakai the Supreme Court?
Listen, President Boakai does not respect the rule of law. President Boakai does not respect the Supreme Court. President Boakai is undermining the rule of law in the Supreme Court in our country, and he's taking the country down the drain. I will stand up to President Boakai any day and say it to his face and to his supporters. Our country is in the dark right now, and it is dangerous for our country.
Thank you. Mr. Dukley, what's your reaction to the appointment of Councillor Scott?
My initial reaction was that she should not have been appointed to that board, even if she was. I mean, personally, my view was on the investigation and the conviction. I think it spoke more of the Liberian justice system than the accused herself. And so we know, everybody sitting on this panel here can tell you how terrible our justice system is inadequate. And I'm not saying this with pleasure. That's just the reality of Liberia. And so the fact that she was convicted in the court of law and then the conviction was overturned by the Supreme Court, that does not, in my opinion, that does not um, qualify her to be on the board as she was appointed.
Hold on. She was convicted in the court of law.
Yes.
But the Supreme Court not court of law too. You're
No.
making it look like that court is higher or is better or is more legal than the Supreme Court. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, the point I'm making here then is the entire justice system, from the lower court to the Supreme Court.
Right. So which one is good now? When you're in your favor, then it's bad.
No, none of them are good. That's the point I'm making here. Not in the court in which she was convicted, nor the Supreme Court that exonerated her. The point I'm making here is the justice system. It does not matter who goes in front of it. And I'll give you an example. Don't be surprised when you hear tomorrow that Tweah was exonerated. That's the kind of justice system we're talking about here. So the fact that she was appointed, and to say that because she was not, the Supreme Court overturned her conviction, so she had that qualifies her to be appointed. Gloria Mususcat has had her time. Gloria Mususcat has served Liberia. I think there are other people who could better serve in that position than Gloria Mususcat. I don't think she deserved to have been appointed to that position.
Why?
Like I said, Gloria Mususcat has had her time.
Okay. You can come back when you serve.
She has served Liberia, and this is the same position I had when Joseph Boakai appointed the current Minister of Finance. It just goes to tell you that there are a lot of talent in Liberia that is not being utilized. So I mean, I know serving on the board it could be it's ceremonial in a way, but I mean, with the perks that comes with it. But still, there are other people who could have served on our board better than Gloria Mususcat.
Thank you. Let me go to the pastor before I come to the lawyer. Yeah, because we want to have, I'm not saying what does God say about this. I just want to get your personal opinion. What would Jesus do is not my question.
It's okay. I think we understand what you mean. The thing is, I'm talking about the appearance of impropriety. If the Supreme Court has absolved Gloria Mususcat of all wrongdoing and exonerated her, yeah, she's a free person. She should live a normal life like every other person. What I am looking at is the proximity of this appointment to what had just passed. The dust has not settled completely yet over Gloria Mususcat's situation, and then you are appointing her as a vice chair to NOCAL. It's not just any other board. The question I keep asking myself and JMB, are there no other Liberians around the world that can serve? Why are we keep repeating the same old hands like that, and then we want to create new things? They say Gloria Mususcat, the only position she has not yet occupied, is the vice president or the presidency. She's enjoyed lucrative positions in Liberia. So just coming from that saga, we know the only reason Gloria Mususcat is still not in prison is because CDC lost the election. If CDC had lost the election, she would still be in prison. So everything surrounding her, even though the Supreme Court did that, I still see it as political. So bringing her immediately right back to this position now, it speaks volume. It gives, it speaks impropriety. That's what I'm saying. I'm not against her getting any position. She can get any position if the court has adjudicated her case and exonerated her of any wrongdoing, she's free to live a normal life. But why should she be the one to be appointed right now? Michael Padmore can be on that board. Mr. Sherry Mohammed Sherry can be on that board. Dennis Giles can be on that board. Jerome Gilman can be on that board. There are so many Liberians all around the world that are professional that can serve on that board. My question is,
why to be on the board, we got to combine that place with LPRC. There's no need for them to exist.
Yeah, so why Gloria Mususka? That's the question. If I met JMB, I would want to ask him, why Gloria Mususka?
Exactly.
Anthony Jensen, we have Gloria Scott returned to status quo ante, right?
Well, Gloria Scott, she was acquitted. So if she was not found to be the murderer of Charlotte, then all her rights were restored. The issue that we could be discussing is on the issue of governance relative to Joseph Bart.
A point of correction, she was not acquitted. Her sentence was overturned on procedural error. So she was not,
she has not been acquitted. Yes, she was not acquitted.
She was acquitted, my people.
No, she was not acquitted. Her conviction was overturned. The Supreme Court does not hear cases. It does not.
Okay, let me read something from you from BBC. Listen to me.
Supreme Court does not hear cases.
I don't want to read from BBC.
No, I have to. That's just the heading. I'm not reading full text.
Yeah, because of BBC, I want what you say because you know the law.
But that's what I mean. I may not have all of the facts, but there's some document that speak to just the issue. BBC says this is a headline: Liberia ex-Chief Justice acquitted of Nize's murder. Right? And I think if you go further,
they don't know about us.
No, they know. We get in the story, so they definitely wrote just what we
do. But it depends on who gets
them. The issue is Gloria Scott. Even if you don't want to use the word acquitted, right? You said it overturned her decision. That's the same thing, right? It's about the concern is why she has been appointed to serve as a board member on NOCAL. And I'm just saying, if the fact that she was acquitted, all of her rights were restored. Now, the issue that I would want to look at is Joseph Boakai. Somebody said that the pastor said there are many Liberians, right, that can serve in positions. Why people keep this old wine in new bottle every day?
Election have consequences.
But it's not under if you use that issue or you want to take that line, it's not under Gloria Scott alone. There are people, even some of our friends in government. It makes no sense. The Constitution said there must be equal opportunity. You know what that means? That you don't just take one person. Liberia will have almost 5 million persons. There's no sense to keep using one person like there's no other educational person in Liberia. But again, we all started it. Boakai spent 42 years in government. Today he served as president. So he appointed Gloria Scott. They are all buddies. Is he doing anything wrong? No, he has the appointing power. Whatever he wants to do, that's what he goes ahead and do. The Liberians think otherwise. If somebody believes that Gloria Scott committed the murder, there are pieces of evidence to show. Of course, they can go back to the court. But what I'm concerned is Gloria Scott herself should not be taking position right now because guess what? Her niece, her daughter, was murdered. I think that should still be on her mind. So that little girl death going to be just like that? I would be more careful than think what I come from prison, I go take job.
She got to work and make money to eat now. You can say she can't work.
She been in government for years. She got money.
I mean,
Gloria Scott was in jail when they gave her some bill to get outside and go count her property.
Not because somebody hungry, I can't eat. She got to eat.
So again, it's all about Liberian people things. So we are discussing that. I have no future flag. Gloria Scott can be president, whatever. Liberian people think otherwise, it's up to them. But I feel strongly that there are many Liberians who qualify to be board. What is extra work to do to become a board member? Just to go sit down and debate issue and divide money and take peace.
Election have consequences. Mr. Pablo.
I agree 100%, Dennis.
I know people just see me for the cynicism that I simplify, but when it comes to Liberia, that's the lens from which I see. Gloria was arrested, tried, found guilty, sent to prison for life. As soon as after the elections, they appealed her case to the Supreme Court. The government of Liberia had a duty to go before the Supreme Court and argue on behalf of her sentencing. They didn't even bother. It was a one-way affair. Of course, the Supreme Court is not going to look beyond what it hasn't been presented. So if one side present a case to the Supreme Court and the other side is supposed to argue against that does not do so, the Supreme Court ruled one way. And so obviously, they overturned the verdict. As soon as that was done, the government of Liberia issued an apology to Gloria Mususka. All this is, Gloria Mususka is a lawyer. This is just compensation so that she shouldn't sue the government. So they say, please don't sue us.
Yeah, I think
Don't sue us. Don't put her in civil court. Because you put her in civil court, Gloria Mususka can sue the government right now for millions of dollars. And she will win. Because the government has already apologized.
But they will not pay.
The government that now are giving, wait, you think NOCAL is? You think NOCAL
But Marco, I've been on your team. There's no way she can sue the government. The government that put her in prison is not a government in power. So who is she suing?
Government's continuity. That's right. Government's continuity.
But that's not how we see it in Liberia.
Huh?
That's not how we see it in Liberia.
When President Sally paid those people like Philip
the
Banks,
government owes Kabina Jare money.
Yeah.
And whether it's Joseph Boyka, it's George Tweah, they continue to owe Kabina Jare money.
Yes.
Definitely, yeah. But this one we're talking about crime.
Mr.
That's civil suit.
And Cabinet Jana is not going to see a penny of that money.
Right. Joseph Boyka will pay him.
Mr. Padma, please don't give President Boyka ideas. I beg you.
No, but I'm just saying.
They can do it and themselves.
What other justification can we give? Let's compensate you so you can't get out to court and sue us because we are liable. We have admitted already. We issued you an apology. Right. We have admitted that we were wrong, that we wronged you. That's all I see here, But I mean, look. I think the saddest part here is that as the months drive on, we see that the government continues to make no effort to find the murderers of this young lady, and so goes the way of Liberia. This is what we see all the time. We never found out who killed Harry Greaves. How long has it been? We won't
even find who burned the Capitol building. We won't even find
that. By you too, yeah. How big it? Look, right now, if somebody stand up right now and say, I don't want to burn a building, and it is not politically feasible for Unity Party, they will not even bother that person.
That's right.
Mr. Gaiman, let me hear your take.
Well, first of all, I'm on the Supreme Court website here, and it says, the Supreme Court cannot acquit, period. The Supreme Court review decisions by the lower court. That's all they do. In the lower court, somebody goes there and say, the court decision was wrong because of X, Y, Z. The Supreme Court looks at that decision, whether you are right or wrong. Anyway, but this is where we are. We say here, and I will tell you one quick story here about this. In a town where they got 5 married men, a single guy moves in. They ask him, where's your wife? He said, I'm not married, but I like beautiful women, young women, with well figure.
Yeah, don't go there.
Yeah, so
where are you going with this?
No, I'm coming out.
Hey, hear the man.
I'm coming out. So one of the after a while, they keep asking the man, when you gonna get married? Why? He said he's not getting married. So one of the guys said, Chief, my wife decided not to sleep with me last night. I'm suspecting that she's having an affair. They went and got the man to come and do the sassy. The sassy woman had 3 wives, young women. He came in. So when they came to town, they grabbed this young man and knocked him down and said, he is the culprit. He is messing with your wife. All the men in the town class said, we knew it was him. So after the verdict, the other chief said, what, how did you guys find out that this man was doing it? He said, he's the only unmarried man in this town. He looks good. He said he let young women, other all got young women. So it got to be him. There's a thing with Joseph Boakai and what's going on here. He has seen the CDC being loud. They're having success, everything. They call him protest. They're in the news every day. So they are the only suspect in town. If you grab Foco now and knock him down and tie him, all the United Party will say, yeah, we knew it was him. That's what's happening here. These people they are not going to look for any suspect. They got the suspect. Joseph Boakai had already said it. He said they are hooligans. So now that you have made a verdict, go find the evidence to support what I just said. You can't make the chief shame. So they are going now, they have the verdict now, they're going to find the evidence to support Joseph Boakai. So don't worry about this. This thing
What does got to do with Gloria Mususcat?
No, I'm coming to the Gloria Mususcat thing now. So here we are, the same thing here. When Mususcat was accused initially, who were the first to visit her? Joseph Boakai.
Joseph Boakai, yep.
The pro tem of the Senate, Nyobli Kanga, and all the women wore black. They went over and they were dancing with her. We got you. With all of this. So here we are. This woman was convicted. If somebody appeals to the Supreme Court, it is the Solicitor General or the Attorney General. That team's supposed to go and defend the government decision for taking this woman to court. But you went in and you threw in the towel. Then not only that, but to reward her, you gave her a job. So these people do not care about ethics. They do not care about appearance. To give this woman a job, basically, it is like, where we don't care about the court. Anyway, even if the court have affirmed the decision for the lower court, they would have freed her because they had gone into the cell visiting her.
Thank you. Yeah,
I think it's better we all get some things straight here. When we on this platform, a lot of people listening to other folks, and one person's statement could indict everybody here. Gloria Mususcat case is a complicated case that we that are here, I can speak for myself. I cannot confirm, neither deny whether she did the act. She was the one who actually murdered her daughter. So that's a very sticky issue that goes in the heart of every one that loves a soul. I feel for the death of that little girl who was about to graduate. Up to today's date, there's no information about her. It could be anybody's child. Girl Scout, I'm concerned how she feels up to this time. Let's play blind eyes and just do some assumption. Let us assume she was very innocent because of the way in which the case was handled.
Where are you going with this? We don't want to relitigate the case.
Okay.
So let's leave that.
Yeah. So we cannot say, and given the issue of the Justice Minister defending the case, there's no way that the Supreme Court would have picked up that case and just heard from a party. They may have, we don't have all of the facts as we sit and discuss, but very likely, very, very likely that the Justice Minister did represent the government of Liberia on that case before the final decision of the court. The court would have just allowed just one party to go before it.
Thank you. If you're watching, the number to call and join the conversation is 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Let me hear from Mr. Sharif on this issue of Councillor Scott, and then we go to our callers. Mr. Sharif, you have 59 seconds.
Yeah, and I'll make it brief, hopefully. I think that I want to, disagree with my friend Dr. Pearson on this because, you know, what went on during the Weir administration with the investigation. You know, Gloria Musu Scott's people said this was politically motivated. And so, you know, there was a whole lot going on. Her people felt like she was targeted and it was political. So we are in office, she gets convicted. I knew that when the CDC, when the Unity Party will come in, I knew that this, you know, this conviction would have been overturned, and it did. And so, you know, the fact that that happened is not a surprise. So the same Supreme Court may have given their opinion based on other evidence that they've looked at. But why does that have to happen? This is what I'm saying. What this is the same court. So what happened? What happened from Weir time to this time? In any event, she's no longer liable for this. Someone said that, you know, they hope that the government would try to find the murderers, which is the right thing to do. As far as her getting a job, Dennis, you said it. Elections have consequences. I've always maintained that the president should be given the right to appoint whoever. He can choose not to appoint anybody from the diaspora. He can choose to appoint all his family members. He can choose to do that. Elections have consequences. So that is within his purview to do that. I have always said that. So this president is within his purview to go home, take his brothers, his sisters, his whatever, put them in government. Okay? That's his right. What I differ with him now, stepping outside of that realm to now go and take out elected individuals like Speaker Kofa. This whole issue, what brought us here? He cannot do that. So I'm concerned about the demolition of our democracy, the piece by piece destruction of our democracy that he's doing. All this appointment, I don't have a problem. I've never had a problem. I didn't have a problem with tenure, that he destroyed tenure. I didn't have a problem with that. Okay, because I felt like, you know, you tie his hands when you do that. But on the particular issue of staging a coup that he contrived against the speaker, I'm not with him on this.
Dennis, let's
I'm
be
never
careful.
going to be with him on this.
Let's be careful, Dennis. Has it been proven that Joseph Boakai was the one who
No, there's no proof.
Yeah, so then, let's
take a short break.
Okay, let's give you some evidence, right?
No, hold on, Mr. Sheriff. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to get our callers. Let's take that short break so we can stretch. Remember, our health person said we need to stretch. We can sit down this long. Short break and we'll be back.
Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. For education, information, culture, entertainment, and overall wide variety of programs, tune in to Focus on Liberia, the best in Liberian diaspora television. We are focused on Liberia, from Patawi Falls to the Blue Lake of Bombay, from the Bella Forest in Bapulu to the Atlantic coastline in Buchanan, from Lake Piso in Cape Mount to the Putu and Tiempo mountain ranges of Ground Jide, from River Noah in Grand Cru County to Foya in Lofa, from the Firestone rubber plantation in Habel to the Port of Harper in Maryland, from Providence Island in Monrovia to Saclapie in Nimba, from Sister City in Riverside to the Kilipo Range in River G, from the Gola Forest in northwest Liberia to the valleys of Jiripo in Sino County. We are focused on Liberia with the strong conviction to educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia, our glorious land of liberty.
It's now time to hear from our callers. The first caller here is Mr. Evans Morris. Evans, you are live.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jai, and hello to the panelists. Mr. Jai, I want you to blink 3 times fast. Here, the Unity Party is holding you hostage now because the way you not change your view, 100 Well, yeah, 80 degrees, and wondering what happened to you. But in all seriousness, this is political savagery. Political savagery. What we're witnessing in our country right now. And I keep saying this only leads to one outcome. From the history of our own country to the history of the world, political savagery leads to one outcome. So when people are trying to say that the budget being passed through the quote-unquote majority bloc, who didn't, legally remove the speaker, you have two sitting speakers, and one is very much illegal, and that's the route that they choose to pass this budget through.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a disservice to our ears, those of us who listen or even watch. It's insulting to our intelligence. To be the people who are informed and is letting the audience know what's really going on in the country, to tell us that nothing wrong with the budget, it's done through the right means, and we should accept it. That's wrong. So I think what's going on in the country, I just admire you guys for sitting here 2 hours, giving us your take on things are getting progressively worse in the country. I admire your courage and your dedication. And lastly, to the Gloria Mususka issue, I think somebody said on one of these shows that she would get released from prison and she would get a lucrative job in the government. Maybe it was even Mr. Tweah that said something like that. And this is coming true today. So everything about this government is spitting in the eyes of the law, spitting in the face of the law, doing what the hell they want to do, gangsterism, political savagery, acting like we're not human beings. We can't follow our own rules that we set for ourselves, and thereby, eventually, we'll probably plunge this country into chaos.
Thank you.
So for me, we're just listening. We have our spare time to listen, but emotionally, we're detached. We understand what's going on in Liberia. It's only going to lead into catastrophe.
Thank you.
I hope you guys that sit on this platform will start taking it more seriously and maybe giving more urgent analysis on the situation at hand in the country. Thank you for taking my part.
Thank you. And I will pretend that what you said, that Unity Party holding me hostage, I pretend you never said that, or I didn't hear you, because that's preposterous.
You can't unring the bell.
Yeah, that's preposterous. Flomo Livingston, you're alive.
Yeah, Mr. John, thank you for the show. I mean, we need to start fact checking most of these guys who come on the show and start talking about your life. No, Gloria Mususka is free. She entitled to work as a Liberian. It's like giving a voting for Donald Trump. You don't have no moral to criticize Gloria Mususka.
How you know who the man voted for?
Mr. John, I'm telling you, it's a fact. They ain't denying it. I know you hear my second talk. So what I'm trying to say is, look, the president, who's the former speaker of COFA, is a former speaker. So the budget of the party is legal and it's law. Once the president signs it, that's it. So people talking about the president interfering. That's the same reason the president did not want to talk in this whole legislative thing. Because no matter where the president will go, going to say, oh, he take a side. Now when the president did not speak and say the Supreme Court gave that ruling, we all just here say the Supreme Court. Can anyone point to us where the Supreme Court said the majority black, you are wrong for doing this? Can anyone show us in the ruling? We all just give our opinion. So you can't say the person is right, the person is wrong. We just give our opinion. So you can't say that the Supreme Court said the majority black was wrong, the minority black was right. No. And for me, what the president is doing, he's doing good and he continues to do the LeBron Paul job because that's a good thing that's coming out. The MCC will want that thing and we want it, and then we'll get our money to improve the people's life. But we just have to be emotional and speak on fact. Instead of saying that the president hijacking the country going back. So no, people who will say that, people who oppose the ruling government. So we understand that.
Thank you.
So speak fact, all right? Don't try to be emotional. Speak on the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's bring on Mr. Paul, Derek Paul.
Yeah, Dennis. Thank you for taking my call, sir. So my question is, at what point do we maybe just acknowledge the fact that we are just incapable of governing ourselves, Because Saxon people are criticizing today with Joseph Boyka, rightfully so. Georgia, I was just doing the same thing yesterday, and Mr. Elvis and Mr. Gamer, they were all, supporting and have funny excuses for it. And, we just do things just anyhow. Everybody just doing their own thing. People are laughing at us as Asian Chinese guy, local Nigerian guys say all the time that the Europeans stay in this place area, they not learn anything from them. People, look, this thing's on a global scale. This is embarrassing. I don't know what is it going to take for us to just acknowledge the fact that we just cannot govern ourselves. People will need colonial rule in Liberia. I'm serious because because we're running for our country, coming to other people's country for greener pastures, right? And then we'll go back to our country. Because everything that Zimbabwe is doing right now, 99.999% of Liberia put in a position to do the exact same thing Zimbabwe is doing. So it is inherent in us. It's our nature. Dennis? Maybe we'll be lucky one day we'll get one pocket. Not the military side, but somebody will be benevolent enough to start getting our country straight. Maybe the only way. Look at Burkina Faso. On your man had to come and take over before now you're trying to show people how, maybe how it is done. So it's just like, maybe every 10, 20 years somebody will come on the scene, African men will start doing things the right way, but we don't have system in us. We don't have the ability to follow rules, to follow laws, we don't have that. Because just yesterday, we are doing the same thing Joseph Boca is doing today, even worse. So we have people who are dying. Auditors were dying. People were defending it. But today, Joseph Boca, now everybody criticizing Joseph Boca. You know what I mean? So it's just inherent all that we cannot govern ourselves. We just, maybe we are savages. Maybe that's exactly who we are. Because tomorrow people and another person making the same thing will continue. Thank you, man.
I understand your frustration, but that's not true. Let me bring in Mr. Emmanuel Tukba.
Yeah, great show, guys. I just want to. I have one question, but then I'm noticing for the last two shows, especially the one that Anthony hosted, when callers ask questions, the panelists either overlook the question or they refuse to answer the question. So I'm going to ask my question, and I hope that they answer the question, because not everybody calling to give their opinion. People want clarity from your panelists if they can. Give their opinions on the questions, please. My question is, the Supreme Court said that the actions, any sitting of the House of Representatives is ultra-virus, okay? And now a budget has been passed. Can civil society organizations file a writ at the Supreme Court to stop the implementation of that budget? Because can they even do that?
Right.
This is something that's been debated in certain circles here in Texas where I live, among Liberians. All right.
Thank you.
So please, I would like to hear what will be the input of your panelists.
Attorney Jensen, please mark that down. Let me bring in the last caller. If it were passed by the ultra-virus sitting, can it be implemented? Our last caller here is Boy Solo. Boy Solo, go ahead. You're live.
How are you?
Good.
Hello.
Hello. Go ahead, boy.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Let me say to the second to the last caller, my brother, that's why you came to rescue the country. But instead of rescue the country, what happening now? I think you're suffering the country. So the other guy spoke and said, what the fact that the people got, you guys have that the government is supporting the majority black. I also want to ask the brother that just left the line, what the fact he got that Georgia was killing all the time and killing people in that time. We sit here, we see people dying every day in Liberia. Can we say Joseph Boga the one killing them? And I also want to say, please, let's talk about a Gloria Muscusa issue. Hey man, big brother, fathers that on the line, uncles. I want to say to you, you live right in America here. If somebody living in the house with you, and no one, you have security guide your place, and somebody get killed in your house, and the police come there, they see no intruder, who you think they're going to hold? They're going to go for somebody outside?
They will investigate
the people. Be the first person.
They will investigate.
Going to hold.
They will investigate.
Yeah, in the investigation, Mr. Jai, you are the front suspect.
Right. So that's what the investigation is for. If you are free, they set you free. Not because you didn't come, they catch you. So that's what the police did. So they investigate. Go ahead.
So my thing is, the investigation show, and let us be clear. We all knew this. The party was going to free this woman because when they took her to prison, they were all there protesting that the woman they should release the woman. We saw those things. Lastly, I want to ask everyone out here today. You want to tell me those guys sitting in RLJ, you think those guys want to spend their own money sitting in that place for 2 months?
Right.
Do you think they want to do it when the government is not supporting them? Why we always let to island we blind?
Right.
And I said he did it. And this is the behavior of the Unity Party government. Anytime they come to power, they always want to remove speaker. All the 12 years they stay in power, they remove 2 speakers. And Marceli was so professional, she did it in a professional way, but Bwaga decided to do it the wrong way. We told you, we didn't believe it. The first thing the man said he came from Lofa, he won the election, he traveled, we go tell thank you first. He go to Sierra Leone, and go to the time he came from, and tell the people thank you, and give money to the school that he went to renovate the school while our brothers and sisters suffering in Liberia, and he didn't have time, he went to sit there in Sierra Leone. Let us be honest here. This man is carrying our country backward, and the people is suffering over there on a daily basis, and nothing we can see that President Bwaga is doing. They're only sharing money among themselves on a daily basis. Thank you for having me. They came to rescue us, but instead of rescuing, they are suffering us.
Thank you. Anthony Jensen, the question from the caller.
Well, the fellow who asks whether anybody can sue or can file a petition before the Supreme Court, yes. A writ of mandamus can be filed before the Supreme Court to compel the lawmakers to do what is right. And that can be even the caller who calls, if he's a Liberian and whether he resides in Liberia or not, he can muster the courage to take some decisions. If the budget was passed not abnormally, not the normal way, yes, civil society organizations can take an action, and the court will definitely be willing to listen to whatever petition that go before it.
Thank you. If you see the image of the Supreme Court is, not Supreme Court, the laying of the cornerstone of the Liberia Capitol building, December 18, 1949. So there's the construction. This picture has been trending on social media, so I just wanted to show that to you too.
That's good. I have not seen that before myself.
Yeah, so you have it there, and you have the current state.
Democracy in flames.
Liberia.
Well, but gentlemen, thank you so much for tonight. This time we're going to take at least 30 seconds each to conclude, and I mean 30 seconds because we want to do this in 3 minutes. Dr. Pearson, you first. 30 seconds.
Thank you, Dennis, and thanks to my fellow panelists for tonight, and thanks to the viewers and listeners out there. I think the budget that has been passed is illegal and should not be accepted by the Liberian people because it has disenfranchised some people. It does not represent the aspiration of Liberian people. I think the issue with the money allocated for the renovation was, again, ill-advised, unprofessional, and I think they should do the right thing by having the appropriate assessment of that property before they can determine what money we can put into it. Other than that, will be the same situation where the executive mansion will be putting money in there every year and they will be eating it and not doing what they say they will do. And last but not the least, I want to just clearly say I think the whole Gloria Mususka situation is unfortunate for Liberia. It does not show our children, good leadership and good example. And I think her whole case was politically motivated in her interest because she has close relationship with President Bwaga, who is now in power.
Thank you. Mr. Gaiman.
Yeah, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. When this whole saga began 2 months ago, legal luminary says, no illegal beginning can have a legal ending. I think that's very powerful. The lawyer is here. If it's illegal to begin, you cannot end it legally. It doesn't happen. If the setting of these folks were ultra virus, there's no way they can have a legal budget. And second, the gentleman who talked about the gift in 7 Leon has a point. The University of Liberia has been closed for months for lack of money. And our president, instead of making a gift to LU and say, buy a chair, he went to 7 Leon and donated money for renovation of the school and operation. That's a disparity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Asumana Miguel Padmo.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There are very few people that call me Ansu. But it's always been a pleasing name for me. Look, the first thing, you showed a picture here of the cornerstone being laid or the structure being built for the Capitol building. And yes, and then across from it, you see the burning. A lot of people are shocked by the burning of this building. But I'm sorry, our country been burning for a long time. Our source of government has been burning for a long time. This is just a, what do you call it?
A manifestation.
Yeah, a manifestation of what's been happening for a long time. And I hope we wake up from this. When it comes to that whole feasibility study, look, why should we waste money? If we really want to renovate the building, put it out there. Construction companies, come in, do your feasibility study, submit proposals to us, free of charge. Let us decide who we're going to get a contract to. That's how you do this. You're a poor nation. You don't get money. How are you going to take 1.8 million and put it in the budget and say, a feasibility study? Who does that? And now I saw them today, they were in City Hall. City Hall needs to charge them. City Hall ain't get money. The resident is dirty. They're looking for money to fix the clean city. If the lawmakers are going to be sitting there using your facilities, you need to rent it to them. They need to pay for it. It can't be free. Finally,
they will shift the cost to the taxpayers.
Well,
and
guess what?
Put it in the budget.
Good, because when taxpayers feel the burden, maybe they'll wake up and do something.
Thank you.
But that's good. Finally, Gloria Mususka, like I said before, the just compensation. That's what Liberia has always been. That's what we see right now. Bunch of young people you have passing around, people with good knowledge, exciting vision, and you take a retired woman and make her the chairman of NOCAL, but you think NOCAL will go somewhere. So as our country, I guess that's what we did with our president, and now it's just being once more manifested across the board with Grace Bay and Charles Minor, and now Gloria Mususka. Geriatric is what we're moving to right now. It's sad, but that's what we're in for now. We'll keep pushing.
Thank you. Mr. Dukley.
Yeah, Dennis, thank you. And thanks to my fellow panelists for a very lively discussion tonight. Dennis, we've said this thing over and over. I just hope that somebody somewhere will be listening and take heed to some of the things that we've said here tonight and see to it that Liberia can benefit. As much as we agree that election has consequence, but I still stand by my position that there are other Liberians who could better serve in that position than Gloria Mususka. But this is where we are, and about the Capitol building, I just hope that some senses in the deliberation of how they will come up with this money in a way that will reflect positively on them and on the Liberian people. But we can only hope, and I don't have much to say when it comes to this thing with the Capitol building. But it's just sad to see that this bill will go in flames simply because of some political disagreement. I just hate that notion that for our grievances, our differences, that it will result to something like this.
Thank you. Mr. Sharif.
Yeah, so these episodes of destruction, you always have to look at the genesis of it. Where did this all start? One thing leads to the other. I know some would disagree with me on this panel, but I'm sorry. The beginning of this, if you didn't have this attempted coup, a power grab in the legislature, in the House of Representatives, you don't have this perhaps. You don't have the protest. If the protest is not suppressed and repressed by the Liberian police, you probably don't have this perhaps. Where was the police? They were in control of the building that night. So why is it that they're not part of this investigation? They were in control. So what happened? Incompetence, right? What happened? So could it be that the police is trying to frame the opposition? There could be the arsonists, that there could be the hooligans that the president needs to include them. This investigation also needs to include the president. The president investigators should go into the executive mansion. Since he cannot be brought before the investigators, they should go to him and investigate him as well. So his role in this process needs to be documented. And lastly, I would say to Pastor Sirleaf, you said you don't have any evidence of the president's role in this. I refer you back to the October 18 edition of the front page.
I never said that. I just asked, has it been proven?
Excuse me.
Yeah, but no, but you're trying
excuse
to
me. Excuse me.
What are they
Excuse me. So you always come out with some denials. I advise you to read. You are the same one that denied that the 1847 Constitution was never abolished in 1980. I have evidence of that, and you deny that.
I never said that.
Please read and then come on this forum, because here, when we discuss issues, we bring facts and evidence.
Please don't imply that he doesn't read.
Let him go ahead, y'all. Let him go ahead. Don't pay attention to him.
The pastor said, you heard it, Dennis, that the 1980.
You have 30 seconds more.
I never said that.
Dennis.
You said I made two statements. I only asked Dennis. I said, Dennis, has it been proven that Joseph Walker masterminded it? And now you're saying I said that.
Dennis, I will reclaim my 30 seconds, Dennis.
Please do quickly.
I will reclaim my time, Dennis.
Go back to status quo.
Status quo ante. So, okay, Dennis, I'm going to be quick. Okay, since I'm being interrupted in this manner. So, you know, the pastor said one time that the 1847
Let us not go there to that 1847.
was never abolished in 1980. Okay, Dennis, fine.
Yes,
okay, I'll stop. Because Dennis, you can't bring me on here and then treat me like this.
No, but you can't be spewing lies and you don't.
What are you doing?
We gotta go. I want
This is the responsible show. You can't just get up and spew lies and you don't want to be fact checked. You were speaking, you said Joseph Walker was responsible for removing Kofa. And I asked Dennis, I said, Dennis, has it been proven that Joseph Walker was the one behind it?
Pastor, I refer you, Pastor.
And now you're saying that I said,
Pastor, I don't have time. I refer you to the October 18 edition of the front page.
Has it been factually proven?
That's what I'm saying. Go read the Daily Observer. Go read some newspapers.
Did any of the papers say categorically?
Pastor,
you
can't just be spewing lies on the show.
Please read and then come on.
Mr. Cherry, please conclude. Pastor Salif.
Yeah.
Mr. Cherry, you have 10 more seconds, please.
Okay, Dennis. I mean, I will advise all of us, not just the pastor now, since you don't want me to call the pastor's name, all of us to read, get our evidence, our facts, and come on the show and then, debate issue. This is called, Friday night debate for a reason. I don't want to sit here, and people don't have their evidence and their facts and, don't know what is going on. So
thank you. Mr. Salif, you have your 59 seconds, your 1 minute.
Thank you. I mean, when somebody says you don't have your evidence and fact, you just throw words in the air and you don't want anybody to question you because you feel you somehow you got some authority over all knowledge, and that is complete frivolous. But I'm not going to go into that. But this is it. When it comes to the budget, governments around the world, they use the budget to set priorities. Our government in Liberia, they're just doing it as a traditional thing, just like today. Anybody just go to church without even the meaning because, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm not Muslim, so I should be in church. That's how our government is setting budget. The budget should be used to set priorities to help government operate efficiently and optimally. Number two, when it comes to the Capitol building, as I said before, investigation should precede renovation. Up to now, I don't know who has been arrested. How can there be police, people protecting the Capitol and the Capitol burned and we don't know who burned it? If the police were on the scene when the building burned, they should be the first persons of interest. We want to know, but up to now, we don't even know anything. And then Senate coming up just throwing money out there. I don't know where it's coming from, what investigation they did. It's just foolish. And what I said on Gloria's Mususkat is she's free to get any job. If the since the Supreme Court overturned her case, if there's no more case against her, she's free. All that I'm saying is propriety or impropriety. When you're doing something, the proximity and the whole Gloria Mususka saga was just messy. So to just come back and just appoint her, for me, it shows a sense of impropriety. Like somebody said, I think Patmo said, oh, it's to compensate her. Well, I said this, and I will say again, government is continuing it, but there's no way Gloria Mususka will have sued a Liberian government headed by Joseph Boakai when he was our strongest supporter. So I don't think if there was any compensatory damages that they wanted to pay for, I don't think a board appointment to NOCAL would have paid for that. But let me say this finally. Employment in government. Let's compare that to employment in the private sector. Companies don't employ the retirees. Companies send them home to rest. They bring in fresh minds from university that are just graduated to bring in those fresh ideas, inject those fresh ideas. And that's why companies do way better than government because they look for fresh ideas, new graduates, young people. It's in government that will bring in all the old hands. Look at somebody Joseph Boakai appointed for that position. The man can't even stand. He's shaking. He's trembling. Are we saying that there are no people that can be, so many of us on this show can be employed and we can help Liberia do better? Nope. We prefer to bring Gregory Comer, a criminal that was thrown out of government under LA, Joseph Boakai bringing and making police director again. All the
criminal?
Exactly. Then why are we doing that?
You said Gregory Comer is criminal?
He was thrown out of government because of corruption. When you do corruption,
convicted,
whatever. So, but okay, I would change my word. Let me not use criminal. But he was thrown out of government. So why bring him back? Why bring him back to head the police? Are there no other people in the country? Are there no Liberians around the world that you can bring? Nigeria has changed today because when Obasanjo's second term, he brought somebody from out of the country, Charles Soludo, and made him the central bank governor of Nigeria. Today, Nigeria is Africa's #1 economy. Nobody's going to catch just because one policy that Charles Soludo introduced. Why are we bringing back the same old failures that were there that did nothing? You're bringing them back to do what? So that's my question.
Anthony Jensen. You have 1 minute 3 seconds to conclude.
Okay, thank you so much, and I say thanks to each and everyone.
30 seconds to get it. You see how your lawyer can behave.
You know why? Like, I want to start with gay man. Your political phrase, what you call legal phrase, why you say why no illegal beginning can end with legal. So that phrase should be dropped because it lacks understanding.
Okay.
Every act is illegal. Every court proceeding is legal. So I don't know why would someone use that phrase and want to think that it's something that we can catch from it. I wanted to pay attention to you on that. So that's one point. But generally, the national budget, we all talk a lot about it. it is within the purview of Joseph Boakai and his government, meaning the branches of government, to understand when things are going wrong. It's not about pleasing anybody. Government is an eye. And Boakai being around government for a long time, I think every one of them, so to speak, they can make decisions and leave behind a legacy. So whether or not the current budget is going to be used in the way it's being considered, Boakai take full responsibility of that. On the issue of Gloria Scout, we all have no evidence. I like to speak from my own mind. I have no evidence whether she committed an act. The court said, overturned the decision of the lower court and set her free, she and her relatives. If that happens, it is the right of Boakai to appoint her into government. But morally speaking and consciously, I would think that the local death should still be on the mind of Gloria Scout to the point where she will still want to find the killer, assuming that she is not the one, that the killer should still be found. She should be after government. The United States, no matter how long it takes, when there's a crime committed, they keep digging until they find the killer. So I think the government of Liberia has that responsibility. On the capital building stuff, renovation, no renovation, that's an executive duty. What is happening? The government, maybe they're working together to find a solution. The money is a projection. That's a budgetary amount they are saying what they're going to use. But I think there's important issue here, and that should be who bring that capital building. It is unfortunate to have a big building, the first branch of government, that there will be no camera to the point where someone is walking in there.
Right.
That the government, the police cannot say, well, this is a person was at the building before the building got a fire. Everybody's like, they don't even care to do a thorough investigation. Was there a crime scene? What did they see? Who was in the building at the time? These questions, when we listen to some of them, was see that building. I work in that building almost through my life. You see that building on fire. How did it get fire? Somebody was in the building. The building has about 1st, 2nd, almost 3rd floor. So how? For people to leave all of those unanswered questions and be talking about money, it's not fair to Liberia. And I think it's just about fair enough that people begin to rethink about the country and think about what kind of infrastructure can we leave behind? How many of us are going to live in the next 10, 15, 20 years? Speak to they themselves. How many of them are going to be living after 10, 15 years from now? Why can't we be thinking about leaving behind infrastructure for the young people coming up?
Thank you.
We're not thinking about getting money to do what? To build the building. The Chinese people extended that building just a few years ago. You think when the Chinese people see that building burning, the picture that you just put on the screen, how do they think of Liberia? This should be on the mind of leaders, not just about wanting to be elected, but to be in the position to say, well, I want to help my country. And one way to do it is to build infrastructure. Joe Biden is fighting. Joe Biden is, how long is he going to live? But almost everything he's crying for is leaving behind an infrastructure that Americans can depend on. You think, like, bro, we can do the same thing? But people are all after themselves. When will that stop? We hope that some of the discussion we are having, people will pay attention and take some actions that can help Liberia. It's not a good thing for people begging others from outside to get money. When they send money in there, it's a phone, and people sit and think it's just about, what I can get. And the Liberians themselves should be blamed, because the people that you elect, that's the result you get. So tomorrow going to be another election. So what's going to happen is level Liberian. That's all they have. They can sit and watch all the game, and after it all, Liberia will make a decision again as to who should be in government. So again, I want to say thanks to you, Ja, and thanks to your team. It was a pleasure to be with all of you guys for this discussion.
And I appreciate all of you. Thank you, and that you took your happy hour time to be here. I want to thank our viewers.
I'm not eating, my man.
Always focus on Liberia, man.
This is the last show before Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yeah, Pastor. Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Good night, and God bless you.
Dr. Pearson, keep up the fight.
We are
Yeah, my man's heartbreaking.
Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Liberia.